All right, we are live on Facebook. Hello, everybody. It has been a while. I feel like somebody learning to ride a bike again. Um,
I love it.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go live with Tiffany. Tiffany is a dear friend, a fellow nurse coach. We've been in mentorship spaces in a mentorship space together. Tiffany has mentored me. We've just done all the things together. I feel like Tiffany has been one of my people through this entrepreneurship journey. So we're here.
I know. I love it's so funny to me because I feel like we're always on the same wavelength too. Because I just did like a quick story and I know for a fact you probably did not see it. And I said
Oh, I
like
did.
verbatim. Oh, you did? Darn it. I was like, God, you said the same words that I did. That's so funny. It is so true though. Like as I was thinking about it, I'm like, God, we've really done so much together between like being in a mentorship space together, you being in quite a few of my spaces, coming into a retreat, us having just conversations outside of stuff. Like we've really gotten to build such a beautiful relationship, which is it's so amazing, and it's really been cool because I think that's so much of like the basis of our work. Like it's not only bringing forward this idea of like coaching or mentorship, it's like truly bringing forward these like amazing connections and
Yes.
conversations that go so much more. Like, yes, when you're in spaces with me, it's a little bit of a different dynamic, but it's like, it's just so cool to see how relationships can really evolve over time. And I know we were talking about before this of like how your intentions evolve and abundance and just all these things that we want to bring forward in 2024. Like, what
Yes, it's
the heck? Like,
2024. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about our New Year
talk
intentions.
about it. You
So
know,
what's on your I don't know, your dream board for 2024, Tiff?
I have been doing a lot of reflection, like a lot of reflection on my life, a lot of reflection on my past experiences, and just like what is it that I want to do in 2024, and like how do I want to show up in 2024? And for me, I think like vision boards or like dreaming, I know you and I have spoken about this quite some time, is like always felt like weird to me of like dream of the bigger house or dream of this. And I feel like it really landed for me today because I've been doing so much work around like why is that for me, or why do I dream differently? And I feel like for me it's because it's connecting to my deeper being. Like, so it's really setting forward that intention of like who do I want to become like in 2024, what do I want to deepen within myself so I can bring forward even more potency like in my client relationships, in my own personal relationships. So a big theme for me this year is really about like deepening and refining like all of the wisdom that like I already have, and really learning how to just go deeper within it and really master it and contemplate it on just a level that I've not done before. And so I think that's really what it is for me. And community, like I've really been bringing this piece forward of connections and community building and being able to really rally together so there's sustainability in what we want to create, because it's so different. So I think that's really like if I'm dreaming, I'm visioning, like that's what it is for me in 2024.
I love it. I love it. It's a little bit intangible, which is cool, but it sounds like for 2024 you just kind of want like more of the same. You want to go deeper, you want to expand, you want to have deeper connections, more
Mhm.
community. Just that's just so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you have a word?
Mm. I think for me, the word is probably like refinement, refinement. I want to continue to deepen and refine all of the things that I've been doing. Because I think for a while it was like, how do I learn more? We get in this moment, and I was realizing like, yeah, I'm not actually I'm just consuming rather than
Right.
really deepening and contemplating. And so even though
Integrating.
even though I'm
Yeah.
still doing things, it's on a much different level and impact. And yeah, so that's what I would say mine is for this
I love
year:
it. I
refinement.
love it. Okay, so the word that I chose for 2024 is flow. I got the idea from
Mm.
Yoga with Adrienne. So I don't know if you know Yoga with Adrienne, but she's my
Yes, you.
yogi, she's my guru. I love her. And every January she does like a 30-day challenge. And I've been doing
Yes.
this for like 5 years.
Yay.
And every year she picks a word. And like in 2020, the word she picked was home, which is crazy because that was like
Mm.
pre-pandemic. And she picked the word home. And I just was
Ooh.
like, that's very like, and so this year
Yeah.
she chose flow. And I was like, ooh, okay, like I got it. I love that word. And then like
Mhm.
kind of under the like umbrella of flow, I have words like ease, celebration,
Mm. Mm.
space. Like I'm just looking for things to be easier. We have talked about this. Like this is a very old belief of mine that like things
Yeah.
need to be hard. Like I have to force it. I have to do more. And like also like what you alluded to, like the consuming, like I need to consume more. I need to learn more. I need to get another certification. I need more letters after
Yeah.
my name. And so this year I'm trying to like step away from that. And like I think it reflects a lot of your goals, but kind of like just let it sink in. Like give everything a chance to like integrate and settle and like let's have more fun, let's have more space, let's take more trips, let's
Yes.
play. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
kind of my goal for 2024. So far it's been rocky. January has
she's
been rocky.
she's been a little rocky.
My January has just been packed. Like it's just been packed. Like I just have a lot going on. So I'm hoping like February it'll calm down. We're going to Mexico next week. Like I have a few things coming up to like help with this goal of just like slowing the F down, which is obviously something I struggle with. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's what's on my kind of like dream board for 2024.
I love it. And I'm going to ask you, like, what, because I've heard you say this before with this like idea of slowing down, and this looks so different for everyone. So, like, what does slowing down for you like truly mean? Like, what does that mean?
Mhm. It's so crazy because okay, I just got off a call with my coach and it was a pretty intense call. I told you right before we got on this call. It
Yeah.
was a lot of tears,
Yes.
like a lot of processing. And I went back to this time in my life about 10 years ago. So she does like this inner child work and you go back to different times in your life. And I went back to like 25. And it started off
Mm.
like when I was 25 years old, I was working night shift. I had two babies. I was living in a tiny apartment with no laundry, far from family. Like it was a very busy, stressful time in my life. The night shift in particular was kind of what I was like processing on this call. And so, like, I'm going back, I'm looking at that time in my life where it was like so difficult. And I used to like dread going in for night shift. And then she was like, well, what is she saying to you? Like, what is that 25-year-old saying to you? And all of a sudden I had this vision of like me on a beach, like holding my two babies, like smiling from ear to ear. I was wearing a cute outfit. And I was like, you know what? Even though that time in my life was really hard, like it didn't feel like there was a lot of space. There wasn't a lot of money. There wasn't a lot of, but there were these moments and it like life was simple in a way, because like I had a job that was very challenging, but like it was my job and it was clear and there were boundaries and like and my babies were little and I was like, oh my God. And I just, even though I was like going back to like heal this part of myself, suddenly I was like jealous of this part of myself. And I was like, oh my God, it was actually like a beautiful
Mm.
time in my life when like there wasn't really space, right? Like the kids were little, there was diapers, like it was so busy, but it was like so beautiful. Like the kids were little and then I
Mm.
got really sad because I'm like my youngest is like 7, right? I don't have a baby and I love babies and I was like, "Oh my God, like I just was like going back to that time when like it was like there was more fun and like I don't know. I guess it's like children that's coming up for me, but like and so I think when I think of like what does that look like? More space. What was the question again? More space.
Just like, what does slowing
What does
down
slowing
mean
down
to
look like?
you?
Right, right. So I
Yeah.
think it's time with my children. I think that's what's
Yeah.
really coming up
That
for me
makes
as a
sense.
theme. Yeah, yeah. Like really like and we have this trip to Mexico planned, which is like a big deal for us. We haven't traveled abroad ever with the
Yeah.
children,
Ooh.
yeah, we did Hawaii like 7 years ago, but we've never traveled out of the country other than Canada, like, which is we go to see family. We've never traveled out of the country with children, with the kids. And so I'm like, I think that's what it looks like this year for me, is like
Mm.
prioritizing just like really special time with the family, and just like, because that's why we work so hard, right? We have this like vision. It's like, oh, and then one day I'm going to have all this time to spend with my kids. And I'm like, wait, like they're little now, So I think that's what it looks
Yes.
like. That's my long-winded
Ooh.
answer.
No, I love that. And this is so it like makes me think of something that I've recently done. And I actually encouraged one of my clients. Did I encourage her? No, I had her do something different, but it kind of makes me think of this. And I know I talk about similar things all the time, but I recently, right, I know I posted on Facebook, it was kind of like a hindsight board, right? It's like you look through, it was really cool. It was like just this prompt of like starting at the beginning of 2023 and literally just looking through all of your pictures, all of your memories, and like really reliving some of these moments, because it's like, yeah, a lot of the times, like, unless if it was something really big, really monumental, we tend to forget these things, and we kind of, especially depending on our nervous system and how we do things, we like hold on to some of these things that maybe brought a lot of fear, a lot of pain, right? I lost my grandmother in 2023. And so it's like all these things that we hold on to that we're unable to see these other moments until we're able to process some of that grief. We're able to move through some of that pain. And then we look back. And so it's this idea of really being able to sit with and to experience in the present moment, right? Because it's like once today is gone, it's tomorrow. And so it's really learning how to just be present in that, which I love. This is like
Yeah.
my jam. I love
Yeah.
doing this
And
stuff
like
with my clients.
holding
Hmm.
both, like the duality. That was a word on our
Yes, the
retreat, like
duality.
holding both, and that was such a theme again in this
Yeah,
meditation that I did, where it was like, yes, it was a
yeah.
really hard time in my life, but it was also really beautiful. And like, I think with the black and
Mm.
white thinking, it's sometimes hard to see that. It's like, oh, this was a really shitty year because XYZ happened. And it's like, wait a second, like it's a tapestry. Like there's beautiful things and there's hard things and there's lovely things and it's a mix, like it can be both.
Yes, it can be both. And it's one of those things too that until you really begin to like contemplate and learn that idea of that, because a lot of us are black and white thinkers. We're like, what do you mean gray and light blue? Like, no, there's black and there's white. There's no in between. I have a client that's coming to my mind when she came to me. She's like, what do you mean? No, there's nothing in the middle. I'm like, but there is so much. And I used to think this way too. I was such a pessimistic thinker. I like could not see anything else. And so it's always so funny to me when people come to me and they're like, you're just like so magnetic, or you're just like, you just seem so, I was described as like flowy. And I was like, it's so funny to me because like the Tiffany of like 2015, 2016, 2000, like would have never been described that way. So it's just so interesting. Like as you really begin to like just broaden your awareness to just so many different ideas of how life can be. And again, it has a lot to do with us being able to process things. And we're really holding on to stuff. We don't want to see anything different. We're protecting ourselves. We're like, no, but I have to be able to see this pain, because what if I experience it again? Will I be able to handle it? And until we really allow that to move through, it's like, oh, now I can see this, like this joy because I let some of that grief move through, or anger, or, whatever the emotion that's really kind of stuck there. So I love that. Yeah, the emotional processing, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, it's the way.
Mm. So you're doing big things, right? You're doing big things in your business. And so it's like, I'm curious then, like when you think of your business and moving into 2024, all this stuff is happening. Like, what does that look like for you? Like, have you kind of thought there? Are we still bringing flow? What is that for you?
That's a good question. How is flow going to show up in my business?
Yeah.
Mm, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I think I need to think on that one. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm doing a lot of the same in 2024. Again, like with that refinement thing, like I'm doing launching
Mm.
my course. The podcast is something I have talked about forever. And I almost feel like embarrassed to put it on my goals list because it was on my goals list in 2022 and it was on my goals list in 2023. And I'm just like, well, I still want to start a podcast, but I also feel like I wasn't ready in 2022 and I wasn't ready in 2023. And maybe I won't be ready in 2024 and that'll be okay. Like I'm actually at peace with that. I do know that it's going to happen. I also talk a lot about the book. And so I've made some progress, like with my book, like where I want to settle, where I want to go. I've been connecting a lot. So this is something I get very excited about. So, and something that's kind of cooking in my business for 2024. I am very, very passionate about the 3G community, which is grandchildren of Holocaust survivors. And so
Mm,
I've like made a lot of inroads in that community. I've been connecting to a lot of people. There's a nonprofit in New York that I've connected to. And so
I have
I want to
chills.
use my writing program and help people
Ah,
process those stories and figure out how to tell those stories. Because I'm connecting with all these people and I'm like, they're telling me these mind-blowing stories like of their grandparents or even their own experiences. Because that's the thing about the 3G community. It's not, there's a lot of Holocaust books out there. And this is a little
mm,
different. It's not necessarily telling a Holocaust story, although that's a piece of it. It's what was it like to grow up in the 90s with the Holocaust in the background as a theme in your life. Like I always say, like in my childhood, if my childhood was a movie, like the Holocaust was the background music. Like it was like
mm,
a member of the family. Like the Holocaust was so
yeah.
present in my life. And there are millions of people like that had that very similar experience. And so I really want to help people in that community figure out how to process what it was
Oh,
like and just move through that. And so that's something that I'm super passionate and excited about for 2024 that I'm
mm.
like thinking about a lot.
Which I'm like
Yeah,
getting it's so interesting to me too. So I'm getting like literally full body chills, which is usually like, yep, this is exactly where you're supposed to be going. And it's so interesting to me too, like how we've connected. And I know we've had so much conversation on this of like supporting and processing your grief, but it's like this brings me back to a time, and I'm not sure if I've ever shared this with you, but I used to be like growing up, and I can think it was literally the third grade. I was obsessed with the Holocaust, like learning about it. I actually delivered a speech on Anne Frank, the Holocaust, and I won like in my
amazing.
school. And I was the youngest one that was competing in it. I was one of the, I think I placed second place. I wasn't the first winner, but everyone was like, you should have won it. So it's, yes. It like that's so exciting. And it's like, this is where and why I'm always preaching to people of like, you can't be attached to this timeline or even to this thing, but it's about really developing yourself and who you are and your leadership skills and your discernment and your personal development. Because it's like, imagine if you didn't put this goal on your list over and over and over again. Like, as you've done this, you've connected in all these different ways. You've been on so many different podcasts, you've impacted so many lives. And now there's like this new beautiful dream. And this is what gets to be really beautiful when you're doing this. It's like, sometimes we get so committed to something that it makes me think of my son yesterday. He wanted to draw this cat so bad. And I'm like, he's drawing this cat and he's frustrated and he's angry. He's a little bit of a perfectionist. We're working on it. But he made something so amazing. And I'm like, this is so cool. But he was so blind to it because he just felt like it was supposed to look one way, and he just could not conceptualize. And so it took a lot of us working through some of these big feelings, right? 5-year-old here. But it really made me reflect on myself and my clients and just people that I talk to of like, you're so focused on the one thing that you're missing out on all this magnificence that is coming forward that you weren't even expecting. Like I think about becoming a coach and I'm like, this was so unexpected for me. I actually was like, I'm never gonna be an entrepreneur. Like, what? Because of my experiences with my dad and his
Same, same,
entrepreneurship.
same.
And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm never, right? And then it just like happened. And so I think it's this thing, right? And why I work with people around their nervous system. It's like really building this trust for like the unknown can be so beautiful if we allow it to be. But when we're so fixated on this black and white, it has to be a podcast or it has to be this, like we don't let this amazing thing like move forward, which is that's exciting. Like I
Yeah.
can't wait
Yeah,
to
yeah. I'm
see
excited to
what
see what
happens.
happens. And it's like it feels very timely. Obviously, there's been like a lot of
Mhm.
like generational
Mhm.
wounds that have been kicked up this year and there's just so
Yeah.
much. And I'm just obsessed with that bigger theme of like
Yeah.
generational healing and like
Yeah.
just there's so much there that excites me. And I've always had a really special connection to my grandmother. And
Mm.
she's one of the people that inspired me in the first place with my like my business is built around creative recovery and creativity and being artistic. And so my
Yeah.
grandmother, who's a Holocaust survivor, her story is like she was left-handed as a child, and growing up in a German education system, she was forced to use her right hand. And to me, that's just like an emblem of like the left hand, left, right brain, creative, and like being forced to like follow a certain system. And then she had a very challenging life. And then when I told her that I wanted to be a nurse, I thought she was going to be like right on, like she was going to be so proud of me. Because she was such a caregiver, like always taking care
Yeah.
of people and making food and taking care of babies. I told her I was becoming a nurse, and she was like, "Huh, why don't you become like an artist? Why don't you become an interior designer?" And it was so incongruent
Mm.
coming from her, because I was like, what do you mean? Like she was like essentially a nurse, like she was taking care of everybody.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so interesting. And I think she was trying to tell me, like, don't lose that side of yourself. Like, don't forget, like, she's
Mm.
like maybe she felt like she had to because her life was so challenging, but she's like, don't forget to have fun. Like, don't forget to play. Don't forget to like pull out the paints once in a
Mm.
while. And so like she's such a big part of my story. And then my daughter, who's named after her, is left-handed, which is like also super cool. Only one of my children who's left-handed, and also very like creative, very, expansive, kind of energetic type of kid. And so like she's just like a big part of my story, and her voice is in my head a lot, a lot.
Yeah.
And so just it feels like full circle. It feels full circle to like come back to this community and like use all these things that I've learned to like find a way to help grandchildren of Holocaust survivors tell their story
Mm.
and just process.
Mm. Yes. And of course, just hearing about your grandma is just making me think of mine. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
because I said, yeah, it's interesting the impact that can happen. And when you do see that full circle moment, like I've been feeling my grandma a lot lately. And I'm just like, and of course, my sister sent me this voicemail yesterday of my grandmother's voice. And I'm just like,
Uh,
and like hysterically crying. And yeah, it's just wild how like life can just bring forward some of these things. And when we can just stay like so grounded in that, like your grandmother's, she runs through your veins. And that's how I feel about mine, of like, you know, when we're being honest, right? Entrepreneurship can be so frustrating sometimes because you're bringing something that means so much to you out into the world. And it's like, is it going to be okay? Is it not going to be okay? Like, this is also a part of my livelihood. Like, what does this mean? And there are moments that you're just like, I'm just going to walk away because it might hurt really bad. And we have to be okay with that and learning to be okay with it. And yeah, I've had to reground myself so much and like hear my grandmother's words of like, Tiffy, she always called me Tiffy or Tootsie Roll. And she was just like,
oh,
Tiffy, like, it's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be okay. So yeah, it's like having those anchor points to like really keep you fastened in, because entrepreneurship, you're just like signing up for the roller coaster ride that you never anticipated. And you're just like, I mean, I think I commented that on someone's the other day, in the Nurse Coach Collective, when they're like, "What should I expect?" And I'm like, "Buckle up, Buttercup! Like it's gonna be the ride of your life."
fasten
But
your
it's
seatbelt.
and it's so true. And I think that's why it's so important to just have these people within your life that like you can really just that get you, and that like you can build alongside of, not in a comparison way, but just like let me breathe life into you so you can breathe life into me, and we all get to just grow as a collective. I mean, when I heard you on your interview yesterday with, oh forgive me, I'm forgetting her name, Jessica, I think, is
Yeah,
that her
yeah,
name?
Jessica.
And she was just talking about like this healthy community, and I'm like, yes, like the healthy nurse, healthy community. And I'm like, that's what's so important to me, is like us coming together as a collective and just like continuing to rise, because if I win, you win, and if you win, I win, and then we get to just share our work with the masses, which is amazing. I mean, not everybody wants to do that, but it's this compound effect. I help one, they help another, they help another. It's so beautiful. So it's
It's so
exciting.
true. Yeah, it's so true. I feel like people are craving community now more than ever, even though we're so connected. Like we're so connected all the time, ping, 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 messages, messages, messages. But like people are craving community, connection, like that
Hmm.
safety, like like-minded people. I think it's so important, so
I,
important.
Yes. I mean, even like within, and I know you were a part of it, but like even within the Spark membership right now, it's like I can't even express how many people are grieving right now. And of course, it's like right when I lose my grandma, and then it's like ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, oh my, right. You go through this thing so you can support others through this thing, and we come together. And it's like, I feel like it's just like a big hug in the world, just like, come here, my friends, like and just a place that you can just be real because it's like, when you're in this type of an environment and leading in this type of way, sometimes there aren't places that you can just take all of the titles off and you're like, okay, I'm just like, I'm not here as Coach Tiffany. I'm just here as like your friend. I'm here as just to be a guide, to be a support, but like, let's just be real. And like, it's tough, especially when you're going, I think, from bedside, especially if you've like been in the hospital to the entrepreneur world. I struggled. I'm like, if I look at these walls for one more minute, like I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just such a different dynamic that I think a lot of people don't talk about. I mean, I know some people that are like, yes, I can't wait to be in my four walls, but like that wasn't me in the beginning. I was like, this is awful. I'm going
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
yeah, it's tough. And learning how to build relationships online. It's different. I've had some of you, right? I think about you and I'm like, my gosh, I've like built so many amazing relationships, but it's different when you're doing it online versus God, when I got to see you on the retreat. I'm like, just give me a hug.
Yes, I know. It
I
was
can come in
amazing.
your room and have girl talk.
That was so much fun.
I
Yeah.
know, I know, I know. And now your retreat's coming up, which is so
Yes, my
exciting.
retreat is coming back up in the end of January. I'm super excited. It's going to be on this
Yeah.
like gorgeous, gorgeous
I
property here in
know,
Southern
right?
California. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
there's something really it can be a little stressful sometimes, like building the retreat and the momentum and making sure that everything,
Oh
but
yeah.
man, when you're
Yeah.
in it, the biggest thing I will say is just like, oh my God, just like let yourself be as present as possible because it's like it goes by so fast, but it's just so amazing to be able to just see people in person. Your connections are just so different. It's such a
Yeah.
different thing.
It's like so potent. I feel like it all shifted after 2020. Like I feel like we crave that so much more, like just that in-person
Oh
real
yeah.
connection. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2020 was rough. 2020 she was a doozy.
Yes, that was a doozy. Still getting over that one.
100%. 100%. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
traumatizing.
Yeah.
202.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're almost at 30 minutes. This like
Yes.
flew by. This was
I
so much fun.
know.
This was so
I
much fun to catch
know.
up with you and to
I
just share
know.
you with people. So everyone, this is Tiffany. She's amazing. Thanks for coming on my Facebook and doing a live with me. Yeah, any last words before we hop off?
Mm. I mean, I feel like these words always are the ones that come through with me, is like just keep showing up and keep going. Like, can you just commit to one more day? I think I wrote that in my journal the other day when I was like, and I was like, can you just one more day? Can you just do it for one more day? Because we can really view it as like, okay, just like one more step, we can handle one more step. Yes, the 500 more can come, but like just focus on that one more step and like get into places where you just feel ignited and not
Mm,
drained,
yeah,
because
just
you can
focus
make
on the
these
here and now.
massive moves. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's incredible what you can do when you're in the right spaces.
yeah. Oh my God, amazing. Well, thanks again. Thank you everyone for watching. Thanks for all the love. I don't see any questions or anything, but I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Tiff. I'm just gonna stop the